Hello taxpayers, this is Sid Hiley, CPA. Hope you're doing well. What if you could know exactly what to charge for your goods and services in order to make a profit? How would you know that? Well, you start by figuring out what your break-even point is. So that's what we're going to be talking about today in 3 steps. Number 1, what is a break-even? Number 2, why is it important? And number 3, how to calculate it. So let's get started. Step number 1, what is a break-even point? Well, you might be a startup, you might be a small business that's been in business for a few years, or you might be a mature business. Any business needs to know what their break-even point is. But what is it? A break-even point is the amount of revenue that you have to bring in to cover your fixed and variable costs. Sure, when you first start out, you're doing a service or you're selling a product, and you've gotten into the marketplace and you research, well, what should I sell this product or service for? And you have a pretty good idea that this would sell for this is what the market is bearing, and this is what you can get for this type of service and that sort of thing. But really, when push comes to shove, what does the price mean for you? What are your specific costs? What are your fixed and variable costs? And your costs are driven based on your own particular circumstances. So let's talk about step number 2. Why is it important? The break-even point can serve several purposes. 1 is to come up with a price for your goods and services. Number 2, it can serve to make you focus on what your true costs are, what your fixed and variable costs are. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The other thing that it will do, it will keep your eye on your costs. It will serve to make you more accountable on how much you're spending for various things. So how do we calculate it? And this is where we go to the classroom. All right, we're going to talk now about how to calculate the break-even. I'd like to just use my own business. Let's say I'm a bookkeeping company and I serve various clients. So let's talk about my assumptions. Let's talk about what my variable costs might be in my scenario. Well, whenever I bring a new client on, I have to buy software. Let's say it's QuickBooks. QuickBooks might cost $40 a month. Let's say also that I need to allocate this job to one of my bookkeepers. And the way I pay bookkeepers is I use a percent of the fee to compensate them. Let's say that percent is 30%. All right? So these are my variable costs, $40 a month, 30% of the fee. What are my fixed costs? Well, I have an office. I pay rent, and I pay $1,000 a month. I also pay insurance for $300 a month. So those are my assumptions. Let's figure out now the formula. Let me show you the formula for calculating the break-even. So let's talk about the break-even formula. Break-even revenue equals variable costs plus fixed costs. Our revenue is, as we said, we sell packages for $500. So our revenue is 500 times the number of packages, right? That equals variable costs plus fixed costs. The way our variable costs break down is basically we have 2 components, right? We have the software costs and we have the labor. So variable costs equals 40 times the number of units sold plus our revenue, which is the 500 times the number of units, times the 30% that we have to pay the staff to do the job. So that's our variable costs. Our fixed costs are simply our rent for $1,000 and our insurance for $300 to give us $1,300. So how does this all kind of sift down to a formula? Well, 500x, which is basically our revenue, okay? We're solving for x, okay? Equals 40x plus 150x. We get the 150 by taking 500 times the 30%, okay? Plus 1,300. So we have our variable costs plus 1,300 equals 500x. So when we solve for x, that is our break-even number of packages that we need to sell, okay? So over here, I hope you can see this. Let me move this way. over here, we've got our break-even sales equals 190x, which is 40 plus 150, plus $1,300, right? So when we want to solve for this, we would move the 190 over here and subtract it from the 500 to get us 310. 310x equals 1,300. X equals 4.2 packages. So we need to sell 4.2 packages to break even. Okay, well, we can't sell a 0.2 of a package, so we really need to just round that up to 5. We need to sell 5 $500 bookkeeping packages to cover our costs. So why don't we proof this out? Our break-even sales of 5 units times 500 per unit is $2,500 in revenue. Our variable costs for QuickBooks, 5 times 40 is $200. We subtract that out. Our labor is 30% of the $2,500 gross fees, or $833. Then we subtract out our fixed costs of $1,300, and we're left with a profit of $167, which is about what we would expect for that extra 0.2 that we calculated that we had to sell. So I think you can see that calculating the break-even is a fairly straightforward algebra formula, even though we've all wanted to forget algebra since we've graduated from high school. But it's a very handy tool. What I would suggest is that you run a break-even calculation every quarter and see how it changes over time. See what kind of progress you're making. It's better to have clarity than to just guess. And if you know the break-even, you're going to know what to charge for your products and services. Simple as that. So you're going to see how much you can possibly make by selling more or doing more, because there are economies of scale, as we know. Your fixed costs are fixed. They're not going to go up the more that you sell. So I would suggest keeping track of your break-even, and you're going to know your business a lot better, and you're going to make more money. So this is Sid Hiley, CPA. I'll see you in the next video.